Nintendo's just come out with a new controller, and that's the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube controller. When I heard that my favorite Zelda game, The Wind Waker, was gonna be on Nintendo Switch Online, I just knew I had to pick it up and give it a try. But how does it feel compared to an original controller? Are there any alternatives? And ultimately, is it even worth buying at all? Today, this video is gonna serve to answer all those questions and hopefully a little bit more as we deep dive into the new GameCube controller. And a big shout out to everybody as well who's been subscribed to the channel. If you guys haven't subscribed already and would like to tune into the new Nintendo Switch 2 news, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon as well. So the most important question on everybody's minds is, how does it feel in the hands? Well, the stick and the C-stick both are pretty firm and feel like they're made of a nice rubber. The tiny directional pad for babies in the bottom left is also considerably less mushy than the original controller. It feels like an upgrade from the original. The start button, A button, B button, X button, and Y button all feel pretty much exactly the same as they do on an original controller. They do feel quite nice to tap on this brand new controller as well. Now, despite those similarities, there are a few differences, like the Z button on the back has been upgraded to have a bit of a tactile click, not unlike a computer mouse. And this is certainly a welcome change. It feels like an upgrade from the original controller, which had a pretty mushy Z button to press. The shoulder L and R buttons also feel quite a bit different, but they don't feel bad. They're different in the sense that they're a lot less springy and feel like they're a little bit more cushioned, which gives it a bit more of a luxurious feel than the original controller, and it also serves to dampen the sound of the shoulder buttons, which, if you remember on the original controller, are quite loud. And this is not a bad thing at all. I would consider this quite a welcome change. It also has a few extra Nintendo Switch 2 features, such as the ZL button, which is necessary of course to access the system menu during Nintendo Switch Online play, the screen capture button, which you need to be able to capture screenshots and videos of your favorite games, the home button, which functions just like on a Switch Pro controller, the new game chat button, which brings up game chat, and a controller reset button. It connects wirelessly to the Switch 2 and can be charged via USB-C, just like the regular Pro controller and like the Switch 2 Pro controller as well. The only actual button that seems to be missing from the GameCube controller is an equivalent of the minus button. The start button on the regular controller functions like the plus button on the Pro controller does. Notably, this controller also surprisingly has a gyroscope inside, which I will show off later in this video, so stick around and make sure to see that. And if we have a look on the back of the controller here, you can see that it also used the same screws as the original controller. It seems to me that this GameCube controller has the exact same form factor as the original. The closest version of the GameCube controller that this new one feels like is the Super Smash Bros. For Wii U edition of the GameCube controller that came out when Smash Bros. For Wii U came out. It's similar in both stick firmness and outer shell plastic feel. Both have a slightly more matte finish to the plastic shell than the original GameCube controller. All of the buttons on the new controller feel at least as good as the original controller does, and the exception to this rule are the buttons which just feel better, like the D-pad and the Z button, and also the buttons that don't really feel better or worse, just different, like the shoulder buttons. The original has an overall more glossy finish and feels less grippy in the hands, and the sticks feel like they're made of a softer, rubber-like composition. The shoulder buttons on the original feel much more springy and loud, which, if you're playing with people around you, might be a little bit more annoying, but in terms of feel, it certainly comes down to personal preference. And I can say personally that I don't have a clear preference one way or the other, but it is nice that they're quieter. Overall, the new Nintendo Switch Online GameCube controller feels fantastic to hold and to push buttons with. But how does it feel to play games with this thing? I went ahead and compared The Wind Waker released on the original GameCube system with the version that just came out on Nintendo Switch Online, and it seems there's really only one main difference, and it seems to be a fault of the system rather than the controller. There seems to be a very slight input delay on the Nintendo Switch compared to the GameCube, which feels a lot more snappy and responsive. It's not something that would really be an absolute deal breaker, and I'm sure that unless you've played the GameCube recently, this would be extremely easy to adjust to, but it is more than a little noticeable. Other than that one issue though, it actually feels great. Now, I went ahead and said that I think it's a system issue for a reason, and the reason is, you can actually play with an original GameCube controller on the Nintendo Switch 2. If you for some reason still have the Wii U GameCube controller still lying around, you can actually plug it into the USB slots on the side of the dock and simply sync the controller in the system menu, and you can play with a real GameCube controller. After trying it out though, it still has the exact same input lag issue and none of the switch buttons, so I wouldn't really recommend it, unless you have a bunch lying around and you want to play with your friends, which is something that I tried when the Switch 2 came out. As a bonus, even though the GameCube controller is designed to be used for Nintendo Switch Online, you can actually use this on modern games, and it will work pretty well. I can play Breath of the Wild with a GameCube controller, which is slightly cursed but pretty fun, and the most surprising part about all of this is that the gyroscopic aim actually works in-game. Those absolute madmen at Nintendo went ahead and put a gyroscopic aim in the Nintendo GameCube controller, which is not something that any GameCube game I think supports. This is purely it's going to be compatible with other Switch 2 games kind of deal. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was an informative video. If you like this video, please let me know in the comments what you think, and if you're going to be picking up the GameCube controller, or if you already have, let me know how your experience with it has gone. And if there is interest, next time we may cover the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller, comparing it to the original. Thank you to the patrons for supporting this video as well. If you want to support this channel, one of the best ways to do it is by hitting the subscribe button and hitting the notification bell so that you're notified when I both upload new videos and go live on the channel if you'd like to see more. Much love, thank you for watching, ciao for now.